Hello there, only one Kenobi here, only one. This is going to be the first of the year of the return of shelf indulgence. I'm going to be focusing today on the Phantom Menace. So if I take a left here, all these shelves are prequel shelves right from the top to the floor. So I want to look at the Phantom Menace as it lies, and I'll do another one when I change it around, which will be quite soon. And I say change around because I recently got hold of the fan bar there. The fan bar is going to go on the very top shelf, and if that happens, it's going to change everything that I have set up not long ago. A few months ago, I really worked hard on the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, yet to do Revenge of the Sith. Also, the Clone Wars are all in order. So I've been waiting since then to do a video, only because it's been winter and dark in here. I've not filmed, but that's the deal. So when the fan bar hits the top, I'm gonna have to find another place for all of that. And the reason I want the fan bar at the top is because over here on these Tatooine shelves, I've got all these big beasts on the top, and I kind of want to follow that continuity. So let's have a look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Phantom Menace only. Everything in the room that I have for TPM. And let's start at the top. As always, I love having the STAP, S-T-A-P on the top there. Before we dive into the story, I'll pull back and show you what the setup is. So I've dedicated the top shelf to the training and emergence of Darth Maul and Sidious. Well, it's not the training of Sidious, it's the training of Maul by Sidious. And that leads us over here to, you know, I suppose the death of Maul. Well, suppose it was the death at the time. Then at the top there, I know it jumps to Attack of the Clones, but that's only because there was nowhere else really to put that beast, the Acklay. So, you know what I mean? It's just up there. It still looks pretty cool on that top shelf. The Acklay did actually work on these, which I'm going to give you a closer look at these shelves here on the side. These are corner shelves, strictly speaking. He does kind of work there, but I liked him just at the high vantage point. So that's to explain why he's there. And then after that, we have kind of an order, I guess, although it might hop, skip and jump around. It sticks to themes of different factions. We have Trade Federation, Gungan Army, Nubian Army. We have more political figures and Jedi here. And then we have the end of Phantom Menace. Down here on the Tatooine shelves, I have dedicated some space to some other things. Well, because a lot happened on Tatooine in Phantom Menace. So this is original trilogy. And then we've got the, yeah, so you recognize that from A New Hope. But down we go now to, if you might remember on my channel, I used to have these pod racers looked excellent up on this top shelf there. Like really good. I'll see if I can dig out a picture so you can see. But coming down from a high vantage point looked awesome. But now they're down here, still tilting off the edge of the shelf. But what I've done is I've migrated a lot of the pod racers and the that costs 500 whoopee or whatever he says, and some other activity and characters from Phantom Menace on Tatooine are now here. I'll give you another closer look at them later, but let's get on with this tour because this could be a potentially long video. I'm going to start with these corner shelves here. Now this isn't in a corner of a room, but they work nicely. This is in a corner. That's how they work, these shelves. You may have seen them, but I like them. In this space-intensive room, they've worked out really well to give me some more options for display. And so we start our Phantom Menace tours, obviously, here at the top. Check these figures out. These are all a mix of B-1 battle droids from Power of the Jedi, the Phantom Menace line. Down we go to the, it's not the Oppie, is it the OP? It's very similar to the Oppie, which is this creature, which is also a Phantom Menace creature, but I've actually dedicated that to the Kenobi series for now, but it does switch. Sometimes I'll have Qui-Gon on top of that. And then we have, oh, let me just change my angle to hide that junk that I've just dumped on the top there. I did at one point have Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I had them blue tacked to the top there, and they looked like they were swimming, but they fell off. So I need a more permanent fixture for those two figures. They're on the floor. If I find them, I'll show you them later, or put an image up of how they did look. Down we have more of the Grand Gungan Army, and it is the Flumposet. Part of me did actually want to migrate, maybe potentially get some of this army and their weapons on the top shelf when I get the fan bar up there. But for now, I like using these corner shelves for what we used to call mini rig type things, you know what I mean? Like creature sets and whatever. And that is it. After that we have Attack of the Clones related things. Let's go back up north. In fact, before we do that, let's have a quick look at the N1 Starfighter. This is the 2012 one, the best one. I sold my 1998 one. I think it had... I did want to have all variants of these things, but it's not so good as this. Not as good as that, should we say. On the top now, let's just have a quick look, a closer look at the Maul and Sidious, the evil deeds. And this is kind of depicting the training of Maul. You got that training figure in the back there. That's a really good shirtless Maul, that, from the Evolution set. And there is Darth Sidious, the Vintage Collection one. Over we go. That also comes from an Evolution set, that Maul, but he looks so much better facing away. That scene of Tatooine is sparsely populated. If the trace is correct, we should find them quickly, Master. I figured that that's a really good Maul, looking away. Still need to do a video on that, man. I want to do a video on figures that look good, facing away, and there's tons of them. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it. One of my favourite Maul figures is that Hard Goods from the Phantom Menace, 1998. As you'll remember in the movie, he didn't... It's changing my angle. He didn't ignite both blades until he got to Naboo. And that was one of the first... In fact, that is the first Darth Maul figure I ever bought, silhouetted. I thought I'd find a place for... I've struggled to find a place for this guy, but there he is on the speeder. There we have the first confrontation with Qui-Gon Jinn. Not the best figures for those two fighting. The really good one is the cinema scene. I've got those two figures on my Tatooine shelves. Across we go, another great triad or triangle of figures. Obi, Qui-Gon and Maul. That's their sort of pre-motion stance. Love those two. Going to see if I can de-yellow these two figures. They have yellowed. Across we go to the action figures. These are brilliant. One of my favourite Obi-Wan Kenobi figures. That's a really good one. A Maul facing away again. His face is sometimes iffy. And then that one is a Qui-Gon that actually is the poncho one from Power of the Jedi, but it's pretty much the same figure as the action one from the Phantom Menace line. And then over here, I opened another Vintage Collection Maul. And the newer reissue one, which is a brilliant face. And I thought I'd just have that shot of Obi-Wan. It needs an update, that Obi-Wan figure, the Vintage Collection one, but he looks decent enough facing that way. I love that angle, man. Look at him looking right down. He ain't got the high ground there. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Next. The Trade Federation. This is impossible. I suggest a party go to Naboo to ascertain the truth or something. And you've got Nute Gunray and his minions there, including... what's that guy called? Rune Hako? I'm still thinking of him. Who's he called? What's he called? Dalte Define. In the background, because I don't like waste, there's a really good figure of Qui-Gon, Hard Goods. He did come with a weird lightsaber with a flash of red on it because it's supposed to be deflecting a blaster, but I've swapped the blade. And it's just him going up against a Droideka. And speaking of Droidecas, here they are now. There they are now against Master Destroyers. That's a brilliant scene. And then over here, we've got some Gungans. We do meet the Gungans after that sequence, but you've got pretty much just a nice little army building set there. You've got the High Priest dude. You've got Boss Nass figure number 1. Not my favourite anymore, so I put him in the back for some perspective because it's a smaller figure, that. And the better one is down here. You'll see him later. Captain Tarpals and a Gungan warrior. I must get some more Gungans, man. I love the one with the shield. Over here we go. I love those two together like that. Again, a lot of the Phantom Menace line were purposed to be in specific scenes. Standing together with cloaks, standing together with blades, fighting together with blades, you know what I mean? It was a pattern they were doing. Loads of figures. This is just an ensemble of, there you've got Yu-Kar Quick. Of pilots and blah-de-blah. Forgotten his name, played by Ralph Brown. will come to me. If it doesn't, I'll put it on the screen. In the background, a little bit of a teaser. That's an Attack of the Clones figure there, but I had two of them, so I thought I'd put him in the background. He may have been working at that point for the Nubian army, but this is a little bit maybe out of place. You've got some of the Naboo B-1 battle droids there. I know that happens in later events in the film with the Battle of Naboo, but they're just there. They were, potentially, well, they were patrolling the planet at that point. In we go now, a beautiful figure of Padme, a wonderful figure I've acquired of... Oh, God, I'm terrible for names sometimes. It's not come to me. Can't believe I actually remembered Ruin Hako's name. This guy is... Oh, I can't remember. Gonna have to put it on the screen. Some head swapping there for the Royal Guard. That's a clone trooper head they've put on that. Captain Panaka. We've lost all communication. And where are the Chancellor's ambassadors? In the background, the droids from the... What do you call it? Royal Starship. There's Boss Nass. Great figure. We move into a more of a political feel now. You've got, of course, Chancellor Valorum. Although who allowed Tim Curry to pronounce it Valorum in the Clone Wars? What was happening, Dave Filoni? How did you let that happen? It's not Valorum, it's Valorum. Although one might argue that pronunciation is up for interpretation in Star Wars. Hell, George Lucas pronounced everything differently from everybody else. But I was very surprised to hear that. He's known as Chancellor Valorum, but in the Clone Wars he said, I believe it was Chancellor Valorum who went. That's ridiculous. In fact, it was the same character said Valorum, wasn't it? Valorum, I don't know, whatever. Over here, I've added some more Jedi from Phantom Menace since the last time I did these tours. You've got Yaril Poof there. I think this is not Ki-Adi-Mundi, but she's got Adigalia or something like that with her lovely crimson lightsaber. And of course, the sneak preview of Mace Windu, which works very nicely with these standing kind of figures. A bit like those guys are standing, they're not running around. And then, of course, Yoda there. Yoda's chair in the background too. It's a beautiful figure, that of Yoda. Probably one of my favourites in terms of a figure that accurately executes the look of a character in a film. Beautifully done from 1998/99, whenever they did it. This is the bane of my life, this figure. I remember buying it from a Poundland in 2002, and since getting all these other Padmes, it's tricky to know where to put her, but I decided to have her talking to young Annie there. And there's this Naboo helmet there as well. I just Easter egged it, because that's the scene, exactly the same. He would have looked like that, and she said, we will tell her for you. We are sure her heart goes with you. Or whatever. And we never see her again. And then, speaking of Padme figures, this is a beautiful figure. And I thought I would put, I had a kind of a Gungan, well, he's got a name, Jar Jar, spare. And I was struggling to put him somewhere, and it's a beautiful looking Jar Jar, that. It's the Jar Jar that comes with, I think he comes with one of these sets of some kind. I can't remember which one. The Jar Jar I've had for years is elsewhere. But I just thought he looked a little bit dopey there, and he does stand with her. She's wearing that costume, man. Gungans get pasted too, eh? I hope not. You know what I mean? It's quite a nice scene, that. We's are not going down without a fight. We's have a grand army. So that's that. Love these three together. Beautiful. What will happen to me now? That's the whole speech. Beautiful speech. Do you know what? Yeah, another Yoda figure would go nicely with them. But that's the speech when he says, always two there are. No more, no less. The Obi-Wan comes from Power of the Jedi. The Anakin comes from the Phantom Menace line. And the Mace comes from the Phantom Menace line. But all hooded like that totally represents the funeral pyre of Qui-Gon Jinn. You're probably dying to know why this is here. Well, this is because of the, what did they call it now? The Tales of the Jedi. Beautifully made. Those programs were amazing. Still haven't quite got into Bad Batch, man. I tell you what, I was talking to somebody about that the other day. Bad Batch, I'm struggling to get my teeth into that. But tell you what, that Tales of the Jedi, I was on the hook. on the hook. So that's a custom that was made for me of a young Dooku. He probably would be a bit greyer than that, just 10 years before Attack of the Clones, but still, it's a younger Dooku. I liked having him there. And here we have maybe a little bit out of place, this Supreme Chancellor. That's how he would have looked 10 years after Attack of the Clones. 10 years after Phantom Menace. That's an Attack of the Clones figure, and a beautiful one, I may add. But I thought I would do a little bit of... That figure there is from Phantom Menace Vintage Collection, but it's almost it is an expanded universe in a sense, because he's got all the training gear. It probably would have been a month or maybe a little longer after the events of Attack of the... I've got to stop calling Phantom Menace Attack of the Clones. It would have been a while after Phantom Menace, and he would have started training. So that's why I thought I'd have those two just like that, with his guards, his blue guard, to show the early grooming of Anakin Skywalker. And then that is it. I'll give you a quick preview of what happens after that. Some political figures for Attack of the Clones, and some other stuff going on there. I'll give you a closer look at that another time. What else is going on for Phantom Menace? Let's show you. If I go down here, you'll see the Naboo Royal Starship. And then here is my... what do you want to call it now? Let me just get this angle right. Here we go. This is the Tatooine events or characters associated with Tatooine from Phantom Menace. So let's go down the line. Lots of pod racers. I even put on the end there. Or a Sing. And you've got, as a centre point, a focal point. In fact, I'll pull back. I only did this yesterday, actually. I've been struggling to get it right. Sebulba pod racer in the middle. Again, as I said, they look good on an angle coming off a shelf, but better on a higher shelf. But there you go, nonetheless, he's in the middle. I thought I'd use those two. They're great figures for Maul v Qui-Gon. Hard goods, but beautiful. Look at that. That's just behind, just to fill the space. And again, this is just, he's fallen over again, bloody Ben Quadraneros, the bane of my life. Doesn't come with pegals, but still interesting looking figure. Let's just get him standing against the wall, shall we? The centre point or focus is the tussle in the street between Anakin, Sebulba and Jar Jar. But then all these other guys are just pod racers that I have, pit droids. And that's that side. Over here you've got the good guys for Tatooine. This Anakin actually is supposed to go with that cinema scene, but he's also perfect to go with Shmi. And Shmi is a relatively new figure I've acquired, and he's wearing a backpack when he speaks to Shmi. Don't look back, don't look back. And then there you go. That's the Jar Jar I mentioned before. That's the one I've had for years. Got it for 99p in a Poundland in 2002 in Sunderland. There's the Qui-Gon that goes with the Yoppie. In fact, I used to have all of them on these corner shelves. They look quite good, just as a little set. Having beasts and stuff like that, I like doing that, creatures and animals and stuff. Like over here, I've got the Tauntauns, except they're in a bit of a mess at the minute. And then I realised that the Anakin one looks quite nice parked, so I thought that was quite good. You've got one in kind of a diving position and one parked. And that's it. The R2-D2, by the way, comes from... it comes from the Starspeeder 1000, which reminds me, hello Luke B. Luke B, if you watch my Christmas episodes, he sent me a lovely package of stuff, and then he messaged me to say, oh, there was something else in the box you missed. And what was it? It was this titanium Starship. You know that one, the Starspeeder 1000 from Star Tours? That's the 3 3/4 inch scale one. Let me just open this and have a look at it. Hang on. There it is. So I found it, Luke. That's really nice. I'm going to put that somewhere safe. But that's it for Phantom Menace. But there's more to come for Phantom Menace. More to come. I'm going to rearrange things and include this bad boy. Wow, look at that. An amazing piece of 3 3/4 inch history. That will be involved soon, but I think after this I'll do Attack of the Clones, hopefully Revenge of the Sith, come back to Phantom Menace in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I have been Only One Kenobi, only one. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. Out.